Dr. Robert Leslie and Barbara Leslie and their 2 grandchildren, James Lewis and Robert Shook, tonight still fighting for his life in the hospital. All shot at the hands of former NFL pro Phillip Adams, according to investigators.
In the 24 hours of horrific headlines, we do begin tonight, though, with a glimmer of good news. Good evening and welcome to your 11 o'clock show. I'm Molly Grantham. Robert Shook, the 6th victim in yesterday's mass shooting in Rock Hill, is tonight in stable condition. His family tells us the bleeding has stopped after he was shot 6 times. That's with his wife, Holly, right there. He is not, though, out of the woods yet. The family continues to ask for prayers. A gunman shot Shook and his work partner, 2 service technicians working on an AC unit, as well as a prominent local doctor, his wife, and their 2 young grandchildren. Everyone but Shook died. Now, those killed included 70-year-old Dr. Robert Leslie, a beloved, well-known doctor in Rock Hill, his wife, 69-year-old Barbara, and their 2 grandchildren, Ada, who was 9, and Noah, who was 5. James Lewis was the other service technician who was shot yesterday. He, like the entire Leslie family, did not make it. Now, after being shot, though, Rob Shook was able to call for help. He says he didn't know the address of where they were working, so he called his boss, who then called 911.
One just called me. He can't talk. He's screaming, "I've been shot, I've been shot." And I asked him where the other one is. He said he's laying there and he's unresponsive, and he was shot also.
Now, tonight, investigators said the gunman is former NFL player Phillip Adams. He was later found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to his head. Our Alex Giles spoke with a friend of the Leslie family today who says he has an idea of a possible motive. We're going to hear from Alex in a second. But first, we do want to tell you more about the Leslie family. By all accounts, Dr. Leslie and his wife were pillars in their community. One woman who worked with Dr. Leslie in the ER since 1994 said tonight, he was a mentor to all. That work wasn't a job, but he truly, she says, cared about people.
It really does make me very sad because I know what an impact he had on me, 28 years ago, the patients then. I think about all the lives that he's impacted since that time and that he continues to impact daily. It does make me very sad and heartbroken for the patients that won't get the opportunity to meet him or have him take care of them. But I'm also thankful for all the patients that he did. It's not just a handful of people. It's just truly such an impact that one man had in this community.
By tonight, a memorial was forming at Riverview Family Medicine and Urgent Care where Dr. Leslie practiced. Many of you dropped off flowers. The business closed today in light of what happened. And this is the area where we find our Ron Lee tonight. Now, Ron, you've been out there for hours, and we understand there's been a steady stream of people dropping off notes and showing support all day.
Yeah, Molly, people have been coming by all day and sharing their memories with me about the doctor and how he helped them, but they can't get through a story without being absolutely overcome by waves and waves of emotion. It was very difficult to hear at many points. They tell me that they simply cannot believe this great man, this fantastic doctor, this man of God, is actually gone.
It's just a tragedy that somebody could do something like that.
They've been coming all day, almost like a pilgrimage, to drop off letters, flowers, and signs of support for someone who was a light in the community.
How can anybody get that mad to kill him and his wife and 2 children?
Melanie Williams has been coming here for 20 years.
It's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible thing.
She, like the rest of the community, is struggling trying to make sense of it all. But right now, there are more questions than answers, more pain than understanding. The doors are closed at the Riverview Family Medicine Center where Robert Leslie worked. A sign on the front door asking for time to process what happened and grieve the results.
He was an awesome man. Everybody loved him.
The Leslies didn't just serve the community. They also led with their hearts, volunteering at Camp Joy, helping out people with disabilities for more than 2 decades. Barbara taught Bible school. Robert was the camp doctor.
4 special people entered heaven last night. Robert, Barbara, Ada, and Noah.
For those left behind, the pain and loss is etched on their faces. The feeling of helplessness and confusion over what happened scars those who know them best.
My heart goes out to that whole family and the staff here, great staff, and just God bless them all.
There will most likely be hundreds and hundreds of people who want to say goodbye to this family, but no funeral arrangements have been made yet. In Rock Hill, I'm Ron Lee, WBTV, on your side.
You can just hear and see all that emotion, Ron. Thank you. Now, we've mentioned the two technicians working outside at the AC unit at Dr. Leslie's home who were shot. And as we said at the top of the newscast, one of them, the one on the right, the sole survivor in this mass shooting, has improved tonight into stable condition. Our Brandon Hamilton is live in Gastonia after talking with friends and family who knew both of these men. Brandon.
Yeah, Molly, there's still disbelief here at GSM Services where the two men worked. And this evening, I have seen people bring flowers, which is just a symbol of what James Lewis and Robert Shook means to this community. James lost his life. Tonight, Robert, after being shot 6 times, is fighting for his. James Lewis and Robert Shook were doing a job they do every day. Wednesday, it took them to the home of Dr. Robert Leslie.
Yes, I need to get an ambulance and marshals, I guess, heading toward an address in Rock Hill, please.
4:44 p.m. Lewis and Shook, both 38-year-old fathers of 3 children, had been shot. Shook was able to call their boss at GSM Services in Gastonia. He didn't know the address of where he was to call 911 himself.
Shows the world his strength. It shows the community his strength.
That's Shook's cousin, Heather Thompson. She spoke exclusively to WBTV News and said it was the men's boss who called 911. Tragically, Lewis died there on the scene.
A gentle soul. One of the funniest guys I've ever been around, and loved his kids more than anything in the world.
John Thomas was Lewis's former manager. He says after Lewis moved to Gastonia from Michigan, he quickly gave him a full-time job at his concrete company. His heart, he says, broke after getting the call.
James is one of those people that would go out of his way to do anything that he could for anybody that needed his help and would never ask for anything in return. So if there's one thing that anybody could do in honor of James, it would be to pay it forward and just do something nice for somebody.
Thursday night, Shook remains in the hospital. His condition still touch and go, says his family, after being shot 6 times.
All he wanted to do was provide for his wife and his 3 kids.
This community, these families holding on to their faith.
We need prayers. Like, if you are not a praying person, I beg of you just to drop to your knees and just pray. Just pray for Robert. Just scream it out that he pulls through.
Now, Robert's family says they have more hope now than they did this time last night. Again, as we've mentioned, he is in stable condition after losing a lot of blood. So, Molly, these words on this sign, prayers please, something that means a lot more tonight. Reporting live in Gastonia, Brandon Hamilton, WBTV, on your side.
The whole community really coming together. Brandon, thank you. And the whole community having one big burning question. Why? Why did this happen? Motive is unclear, but one local congressman tells our Alex Giles he's under the impression a doctor-patient relationship was at play. Alex is now live in Rock Hill. So Alex, do we know for sure if Phillip Adams was one of Dr. Leslie's patients?
Molly, that has not been officially confirmed, but I did speak with Representative Ralph Norman, a congressman from South Carolina, and he told me that based upon what he's been told by law enforcement, it is his understanding that Dr. Leslie was treating Adams.
Congressman Ralph Norman has known Dr. Robert Leslie for a long time. Norman spoke to me in a Zoom call Thursday, explaining his level of shock to hear about the deadly shooting.
I had just seen Robert at the bank on Monday. My wife had lunch with Barbara Leslie, his wife, on Friday. We were in a supper club together. We had known them for over 40 years.
Norman says not only is this a tremendous loss for him personally, but a tremendous loss for the community.
He was a wonderful doctor. He was involved in so many activities. He was head of the ER for 15 years. and just a real stalwart of the community.
So why would someone want to harm the doctor who had done so much good? Norman explained to me what he said he had been told about the connection between Dr. Robert Leslie and the alleged shooter, Phillip Adams.
Did you say that, I guess he was treating Adams, or it was your understanding that he had treated
My understanding, he was treating him and had, from my understanding, stopped giving him medicine, and that's what triggered the killings, from what I understand.
Hearing that from law enforcement? So I'm just I want to be careful with anything that, is that close to the investigation.
Yeah, I heard that from law enforcement.
But in a Thursday afternoon press conference, when questions about any potential doctor-patient scenario were brought to local law enforcement, York County Sheriff Kevin Tolson said he couldn't verify these details.
Can't confirm it, no indication of it, and that's certainly something we are looking into. But again, I think I was asked, the first question I was asked, was there a doctor-patient relationship? We have no indication right now that there was a doctor-patient relationship between Dr. Leslie and Phillip Adams.
And the sheriff did clarify during that press conference that he was not the person who had relayed information to the congressman about this case. Reported live in Rock Hill, Alex Giles, WBTV, on your side.
Alex, thank you. And something, Alex, we don't need clarification on, how the Leslie family would like you to respond if you are feeling you want to do something to help. Sheriff Tolson read a statement from the family today, and it said in part, if you would like to do something for the family, Ada and Noah would want you to stock the free pantries and libraries in your community. And again, remember, Ada was 9 years old and Noah was only 5. As we continue to learn more about this horrible story, WBTV is your home for the latest developments. And when we're not on the air, you can be sure to head to our website, WBTV.com, for the newest information.